Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, we start with a look at journalist and author David Dary. Then join us for our wildlife segment about the fascinating snapping turtle. Next, we'll have a story about Phil Grecian, a Kansan with a long and distinguished career in theater. Then we'll have a story about local photographer Crystal Socha. And we'll end with a look at love stories. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Welcome to Kansas.
David Dary, a respected journalist and prolific author, died in March following a brief illness. He was 83. A Manhattan native, Dave was recruited to Norman, Oklahoma in 1989 to lead the H. Herbert School of Journalism and Mass Communication. He previously served as a faculty member and administrator for 20 years at the University of Kansas William Allen White School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Upon his arrival at OU, Dave worked tirelessly to get the school re-accredited and back in the graces of the state's newspaper publishers. He approached Edward L. Gaylord in the early 1990s, requesting consideration for a $22 million gift to build a new journalism building and underwrite faculty positions and scholarships. Later, with the help of the university's new president, David Boren, the gift became reality. David Dary was multi-talented, Boren said. Not only was he an outstanding teacher, but he was also a gifted writer and historian of the American West. He was an inspiration for countless students. At Kansas, Dave began writing newspaper articles on Kansas history. That led to a 21-book publishing career. 4 books dealt with journalism, and the remainder focused on the historical aspects of the American West, including true tales of old-time Kansas. Among his awards were 2 Wrangler Awards from the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, 2 Spur Awards, and the Owen Wister Lifetime Achievement Award from the Western Writers of America. Prior to his teaching and academic career, Dave worked in radio and television news, first in Kansas and Texas, before joining CBS News in Washington. He covered the last months of the Eisenhower and then the Kennedy administrations. He introduced President Kennedy on CBS for the president's Cuban Missile Crisis speech and later overflew Soviet ships carrying missiles outbound from Cuba. In 1963, Dave was recruited by rival NBC News to manage its local news in Washington, D.C. He returned to Kansas in the late 1960s to help build a new NBC television station in Topeka before joining the KU faculty. He retired in 2000 as Professor Emeritus and returned to writing. He is survived by his wife of 62 years, Sue, and their 4 daughters, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. His former co-worker, William Redland, said, "Dave Dary was a Kansan of the best kind, through and through."
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Hi, I'm Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
Nevermore do you walk the earth, his spirit rides here still. Roman knows the wild wind blows. Roman knows you again.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Hi, I'm Tim.
This is my wife, Kat, my parents, Jerry and Linda, and my kids, Isaac and Lizzie. My parents traded their first careers to take over my mom's family farm shortly before I was born. When I graduated high school, my parents made me leave to see the world. I started on the corporate track, but soon wondered what farm life might really be like. Watch our story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
One of my fondest childhood memories, and I'm sure one of yours, is playing along the creek bank in the long days of summer. I can still remember one particular sunny afternoon when I was making mud pies, wading in my bare feet, when suddenly a dinosaur stuck his neck out from the grass, and I ran to get my grandpa. Obviously it wasn't a dinosaur, but facing that snapping turtle, it might as well have been. Grandpa grabbed his hoe, and that beast latched onto the blade and wouldn't let go. I was more careful about where I stepped from there on. In October 2006, two Haven men caught a new Kansas state record snapping turtle on the Arkansas River near their hometown. The monster weighed 45 pounds and was 16 inches long. The previous largest Kansas common snapper was caught by Ian and John Bork on April 23, 1992 in Barton County. That specimen weighed 32 pounds. The world record for this species is 86 pounds, 19 and a half inches. Common snapping turtles live about 28 years in the wild, and specimens living more than 40 years are well documented. They are found throughout the United States, east of the Rocky Mountains. Snappers are omnivorous and will consume anything that will fit in the mouth, including algae, duckweed, sedges, insects, crayfish, earthworms, frogs, fish, mice, and other turtles. When young, common snappers are active foragers, but as adults, they more commonly ambush prey. The flesh and eggs of common snappers are edible and highly desirable in parts of their range. They are highly aquatic and rarely venture onto land except to bask or lay eggs. When searching for a suitable site to lay eggs in late spring, a female may travel as far as 10 miles. The nest is dug into the ground and 20 to 40 round, hard-shelled eggs are deposited. Then the nest is covered. In late October, most common snapping turtles settle into the mud bottoms of ponds or streams or beneath logs and remain there until warmer spring temperatures set in. The new state record was put on display at the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks Pratt Education Center, located 2 miles east of Pratt. So while you're enjoying the great outdoors, watch out for our snapping friends. Legend has it, they don't let go till it thunders. Welcome to Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in Oakley, Kansas on I-70 at exit 76. I-70, after all, is America's Main Street, and we're right here on Main Street for you. Now that I'm an Oakley resident, I still come in almost every day, and I sit and listen to the conversations of the people around me. You know, the guys who are talking about the big elk they just bagged, or the folks who are taking their kid to college for the first time. People just traveling up and down the highway. Real people, just like you and me. And they find just what I find here, real people to serve them. There's history, there's scenery. We hope you'll stop and see us soon. Welcome to Oakley.
Tarwater Farm and Home is a 40-year-old local family-owned business. Clothing for work and play, seeds and feeds, boots, toys for the kids, and tools you'll need for around the house and farm. And a service department to keep them in top running order. It's a big store, so take some time to see what they have for your farm and home. Tarwater's everyday pricing is like others' sale prices. When you need it, they've got it. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
The land here tells a story. It offers up fossils of extinct beasts, ruins of native villages, farmsteads and battlegrounds. Walk the shore of historic Scott Lake and imagine the native peoples on the hillsides above you. Listen, you can hear their voices on the wind. Discover the secrets of Scott County on the ground where history happened, or in the comfort of the El Cuartelero Museum and the Jerry Thomas Gallery. I promise you will find an amazing story.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. To document Phil Grecian's long and distinguished career in theater would take reams of paper or hours of airtime. Yet, even if we did list his numerous accomplishments and his more than 100 awards, it would not do him justice. His creativity, his spontaneity, the pure joy of being in his company cannot be conveyed in a mere couple of minutes. But we'll try. Phil has been involved in more than 300 dramatic productions, either as a producer, director, writer, designer, or actor. He is often called upon to serve as an MC with KTWU's fundraising activities. KTWU is the public TV station on Washburn's campus. Phil served as an adjunct professor in the mass media department for several years. As a published playwright, there have been more than 3,000 productions of his original works and stage adaptations throughout the nation. Among them, some of the most beloved stories: It's a Wonderful Life, A Christmas Story, The Velveteen Rabbit, and A Christmas Carol. Phil has been entrusted to bring these classics to life on stage. Phil began performing professionally, says he, at age 4, performing magic tricks. By the time he was a teenager, he helped found the Playhouse in the Park, later the Helen Hawker Theater. He left to attend KU and then returned to serve as the artistic director. Phil also founded IHS Productions in 1994. This company presents a touring production of his play In His Steps every 18 months, based upon the 1896 best-selling novel by Charles Sheldon. Phil has a long-running relationship with Dale Easton's The Drunkard, from painting sets to starring in and directing the popular play. His Mark Twain on Tour began during the tenure with Creed Colorado Repertory Company in 1967. The one-man show continues to date, playing towns in Missouri, Kansas, and Colorado. The performance currently touring under the auspices of the Kansas Arts Commission. Amidst these pursuits and so many more, Phil has been lauded by his peers. Among the accolades heaped upon him are the National Telly Awards, the local Art Connects Award, the Emmy for Dracula, Theater of the Mind, a live televised radio studio-style production with KTWU, and which Phil wrote, co-produced, directed, and acted. He remains humble, okay, maybe not humble, but certainly grateful for his career, and proudest of his kids, one of whom, Alex, is a best-selling novelist. Phil was surprised to learn in one of Alex's interviews that he was inspired by his dad. Phil said that if anything about his life had surprised him, it was that he had been able to earn a living as a playwright. It isn't easy, though Phil makes it seem so.
Earlier in my life, I rode bucking horses and rodeos, and my shoulders took such a beating, and that was probably the reason for having several previous surgeries on both shoulders. About a year ago, I decided that I didn't want to have another surgery, and so I contacted Kansas Regenerative Medicine, took their treatment process. It was relatively pain-free. Now, after 8 months, my shoulders have healed to the point where I think I'm probably 90 to 95% of normal. It takes a couple of months to start to see results and feel real progress. That continued to increase gradually until now at approximately 8 months. And I'm extremely pleased. I've got full range of motion. I can lift weights, I can throw, I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do without a lot of pain previously. So I'm tickled to death with the results, and I'd recommend this process to anyone.
This is one of my favorite bits that I make. The name I give this bit is the Derby bit. I had a roan head horse that was running through the bridle with the chain bit, and I made this bit here. It really worked good on that horse. I sent this bit to Donnie McNeese, who breaks in cattle for Jeff Smith and Ike Cox, and I said, ride this bit on a lot of horses, see how you get along with it. They did. He said, Bull, that's really a good bit. Fits a lot of horses. Then I give this bit to my good friend Brent Wright, who I make bits for, and I said, see how this bit will work on a reining horse. I call him up a couple months later. I said, Brent, how you getting along with that bit? And he said, good. He said, you don't need it right this minute, do you? And I said, no. He said, good, because I'm down here in Texas and I just won a big futurity riding that bit. And when Brent got home, he gave me the buckle that he won the futurity with. I'm really proud of that buckle that Brent Wright gave it to me, and also that he got along so good with my bit.
Highways 40, 83, and I-70 come together right here in Oakley. Roads that lead to businesses, to magnificent rock formations, to scenic vistas, to places where legends were made. Roads that lead us home. Discover Oakley, the gateway to western Kansas.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Crystal Socha started her photography career while attending classes at Wichita State University. A biology major who needed to fulfill extra credits, she took a black and white photography class and then started developing images in the darkroom. Crystal is primarily a landscape photographer, but has branched out into wildlife and even a few portraits. And folks are recognizing her work. She has won numerous awards. The most recent was the grand prize in the Kansas Ranchland and Trust photo competition. When not out taking photos, she spends her time working and training horses. I started riding at the age of 9, said Crystal. I worked for a trainer for several years, helping her break and train horses. Today, I own quarter and paint horses, along with several Friesens. Crystal is a 4-H horse show judge and has judged the horse show for the Sedgwick County Fair the past 3 years. Add to Crystal's accomplishments as a horsewoman that she can also drive a team. For 15 years, I worked, trained, and drove teams of horses for a competition 6-horse Belgian hitch. We traveled across the Midwest competing with the hitch. I brought home several first-place wins in both the team and cart classes. Occasionally, I help out on a working cattle ranch in the Flint Hills. Some of Crystal's most amazing photos are of the spring burn on ranches in the Flint Hills. Crystal uses those team driving skills at Wichita's Cowtown, driving teams of horses and helping bring the 1800s to life. It was at Cowtown that a photographer captured Crystal and her fellow living historians for a spread in Kansas Magazine. There is Crystal, calm, cool, and pointing a gun straight toward anything that might stand in her way. In her spare time, she enjoys roller skating and archery. What I find amazing is the fact that a photographer caught Crystal in a moment still enough to photograph her.
Surecrop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business has started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses for with the fertilizer dollars that they do and what we can do to make those things work better for that grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer and work with you.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
With nearly 100 years of broadcasting excellence, Ren Radio is now live on the internet playing hit songs of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Join Jack Diamond, Mac Collins, Les Glenn, Frankie C., Antonio Barber, Wings Callahan, and the real Don Steele for some of the best music ever recorded. Hear it at rendigitalmedia.com or get the Ren Oldies Radio app in Play Store or App Store, and tell Alexa, good times and great oldies on Ren Internet Radio.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage, said the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, not to be confused with the Chinese philosopher and general Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War, though the same principles often apply to both. Love and war have often been intertwined, and never more so than in the story of Kansas. Take, for example, one of the greatest love stories, that of George and Libby Custer. While most women eschewed the hardship of the army, Libby reveled in it. She followed the general everywhere the army allowed her to go. In 1867, however, she and George were separated. She back at Fort Riley, he on maneuvers to the west. Cholera broke out, and George rushed back to make sure she was safe. Or was it to protect her from the attention of another suitor? No matter. He faced court-martial and was suspended for a year. His punishment? He and Libby vacationed in General Sheridan's home, just off the post at Leavenworth. After his death in 1876, Libby never remarried, remaining his staunchest supporter until her death in 1933. Equally adventurous were Osa and Martin Johnson. Their books and films of African landscapes and wildlife captured the public's imaginations in the early 20th century. They inspired a clothing line, and their story is preserved and shared through the Martin and Osa Johnson Safari Museum in Osa's hometown of Chanute. Its curator, Jackie Borgeson Zimmer, has her own incredible love story with husband Lloyd. In 2001, the Pitch newspaper named Chanute, Kansas, and the museum as Best Romantic Day Trip. I concur. Osa's best-selling biography said it all. I Married Adventure. Louisa Frederici Cody's biography could have been similarly named. Upon her marriage to the man who would become known worldwide as Buffalo Bill, her life was a series of ups and downs, and once the couple even tried to divorce, but the judge wouldn't let them. They are together for eternity atop Lookout Mountain, overlooking the Coors Brewery in Golden, Colorado. There are so many love stories and so little time. Go find them in books and films around the corner, and if you're really blessed, in your own living room. Make a love story. On this holiday of love, Let me leave you with the words of J.K. Rowling. To have been loved so deeply, even though the person who loved us is gone, will give us some protection forever. It is in your very skin. And so it is. Happy Valentine's Day, though your love be now or long ago, near or far away.
Welcome to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at
and
agpromosource.com.
churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of